Hi there, it's Grace here and welcome to Transformational Tarot. I'm going to be here with you every single week and inspiring you, uplifting you, encouraging you, being that dolphin, being that friend, especially if you don't have anyone in your corner right now and are maybe feeling a little bit scared alone, especially with all the uncertainty that's around the place. So I've chosen tarot just because it's a fun way. I mean, I remember when I was learning expressive therapy and Santre therapy and, we would talk about all these symbols in our life, and really this whole universe is our sandpit. It's our playground. And when you start to look at symbology without significance, guys, it's really important. One of my favorite memes was it's a picture of two rabbits, and they're looking down a hill at some humans walking, and the speech bubble for the rabbit says, "Hey, what does it mean when you see two humans?" So, yes, allow the universe to send you magical signposts and acknowledge them and the beauty and the elegance of the universe. But don't make it too significant. That's just my interesting point of view. So it's magical though. I'm definitely acknowledging that. It's just that when we put significance on something or we conclude it's something, it just takes the magic out of it. Imagine sort of meeting somebody and it's like you're this space of, oh, wow, what's possible here? Is there something we can generate and create? And you're in that sort of infinite mindset, for example. But imagine if you saw them and went, oh, fantastic. Oh, let's create something together because we must, because you're nice, because that's what we should do, right? And, you can get sort of, if you make something too significant, rather than asking, cool, awesome person, great energy, is there something we can generate and create together? Because just because you might be best friends or you might enjoy their company or they might have a lightness to them doesn't mean you're necessarily meant to create with them. Just saying. Anyway, we're getting off target here. I have picked a card to save time and you listening to the shuffling. We've got the Six of Pentacles, but before we get into the meaning of it, I just want to take a little bit of time to explain what the heck are these weekly transformational tarots and how are they different to, normal tarot readings. Well, in a traditional tarot, you've got the major and minor arcana, and there's a predictability there of this is your future. And with the minor arcana, tarologists believe that that's just letting you know, hey, if you keep doing what you're doing, this is what's going to show up, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then the major arcana is more, oh, you've chosen this before you came down and you can't change it. I have a differing point of view about that. I fully understand that there's things that we've chosen before we've incarnated. I've had a near-death experience. I know it's true. I know we get to choose what we experience here. However, we can change our mind. We have free will. And we can turn around and go, yeah, you know what? I can see that there's this major arcana kind of shift happening that's not great. I can actually use the magic within me to beep, 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 reverse elegantly out of it and not have to go through with it. So that's what I mean by transformational tarot. Just because it's showing up doesn't mean you have to have it happen. And even if it's a wonderful card, well, what about actually expanding that to something even greater, if that's a possibility for you, right? Because it's all about being kind for you and what you can receive. So let's get into, if I took a card and I took a photograph of that, and let's just say you didn't change anything, you were just living on autopilot, then sure, that would look like, oh my gosh, she read my cards and exactly what she said came true. However, if I show you a card and I say, this is happening, and you take action and change something, well, then there's going to be a cause and effect. There's going to be a change. So that's where I don't believe that tarot has to be a fortune-telling device. I see it more as another way that the universe can give you signs and symbols for you to grow and change. So whether it's reading a great book or going for a walk in a forest and allowing the nature to speak to you. And there's lots of ways that the universe desires and just is so great at speaking through whatever means, to get your attention. So we're going to pick cards. Now, the Six of Pentacles is really about gifting and receiving. If you're functioning from the finite mindset, that can look like taking rather than receiving. So the first question that I'd really love to get you into is, are you overgiving or over-receiving? Or are you not actually asking for assistance? So in other words, you're a giver, but you're not willing to receive. And the funny thing is, when you're not willing to receive, it tends to bastardize into taking. because you have this energy of that you shouldn't be receiving. So I know that might be a bit of a, oh, what, huh? What do you mean by that? Well, this is one of the things that we're going to get into. So the Six of Pentacles is all about magic. It's taking one coin that turns into two. So in other words, I have a coin, I gift it, and it becomes 2 and 4 and 6. And so it's actually that generosity of spirit. I always say to people, if there's something you haven't got, give it away. So what I mean by that is, if you'd like to have more clients, then help someone else to get more clients. If you would like to have more love in your life, then help other people to receive more love in their life. So there's something magical about being that generosity of spirit, that kingdom of we versus kingdom of me. And if you're willing to look at infinite being versus finite thinking, you start to get an idea of the magic. What do I mean by that? Well, when you're being you, there's a beauty there. There's an infinite library available to you. But when you're thinking, this is what I have to do or should do, or there's a necessity there, I don't have any choice. When you start to get into thinking how to get more clients, or thinking how to lose weight, or thinking how to, increase your business, or find a relationship, or whatever it is that your thing is at the moment, or things are. If you're willing to actually drop into a generosity of spirit and look at, okay, how can I contribute? How can I be that which I'm desiring? And you can also be it for yourself as well. So the Six of Pentacles is you being willing to receive and also willing to know when it's time to give. And it's a funny card in that we tend to not be choosers of our reality. We tend to think that life happens to us rather than for us. So I'd love you to look at where are the places and spaces where you hold back, where you're not willing to fully gift and be. And also maybe just look at your energies around receiving. Maybe you've got a point of view that it's fine to give, but it's not great to receive. And of course, we always talk about that in and out breath, don't we? Imagine if you just breathed out all the time, you'd die. And if you breathed in all the time, you would die as well. And there's a strong message with the Six of Pentacles where when you start to really use this awareness, in other words, tap into this awareness of generosity and gratitude, well, your life is going to expand greater and greater, and you'll be in a position to be able to gift more. And a funny thing happens when you start to develop more and more and more and become more courageous and more brave and being more of you in spite of judgments. What will happen is you'll get two reactions. The haters are going to hate, the judges are going to judge. And there's people that are going to look at you and go, I'll have what she's having, or I'll have what he's having. So what you've got to get is really clear. What is it that's fun for you? What is it that you'd love to receive or love to gift? And go for it. When it actually feels light for you, go for it. You're always going to have people that will look at you, that will judge you and hate you. And generally speaking, when you're stepping out and being vulnerable enough and being you, it's going to solicit those two reactions. Those that aren't willing to step up and be them have to make you wrong, because otherwise they should be stepping up, right? And then there's the others going, oh, wow, look what they're doing. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to get vulnerable. I'm going to actually step out and just be all of me, no matter what. And when you look at life, isn't that the case, that when you see someone being vulnerable, when you see someone going, oops, okay, not my best choice, or if they've hurt you, to actually turn around and go, I'm really sorry. Or people who are willing to pick up the phone or meet face to face and say, hey, last week when I did that or said that, I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have done that. It was wrong of me. I apologize. There's something beautiful in that. Yet what we are taught is to keep that all locked away. But it's the most beautiful thing, isn't it? When you see someone being vulnerable in the work they do. We all make mistakes. But the gift is actually being vulnerable enough to say, I'm so sorry. How can I make up for that? Now, of course, they might respond with a situation where they don't care. They've been offended and that's it. They're out of your life. That's okay. That's their choice. But what's really important is for you to be willing to be vulnerable enough to not actually judge you. Just look at the energies. Yeah, you know what? I could have done that different. There was a greater choice that I didn't make. Not from a wrongness, just from an awareness. I know better now. I'll do better. So the Six of Pentacles is about being willing to gift and receive, being willing to make mistakes, being willing to receive even if it's uncomfortable, or give when it's uncomfortable but you know that it's actually going to create and generate greater. It's a beautiful card. Now, traditionally also what it means is there's some money coming your way. There's something beautiful. There's a gift. There's something showing up for you. So be open to receive that. And maybe even ask. You know, we forget to ask. Asking questions like, where can I give more? Or where can I receive more that I'm not willing to receive? Is it easier for you to receive than to give? Start to ask these questions and pay attention. And the beautiful thing is if you're willing to do that, you'll become greater in your awareness of your energies. So this week, that's the home play. Just pay attention to the energies of gifting and receiving. Pay attention when someone is in the kingdom of me, where they're trying to control and manipulate you. You don't have to tell them, just be aware of the energies. And equally, be aware of the energies when someone's in that generosity of spirit. And this is just my interesting point of view, but I love to celebrate people that do that. You know, there was this moment, I've got lots of stories because, you know, from waiters and waitresses that do an amazing job to teachers and especially, you know, in this time now with COVID. But I've got this story that I just do love to share, and it's my son now is in his 20s, but when he was 5, we went onto a school bus, and it was an amazing thing because we hopped on, and as I got off, I turned around and I said, hey, thanks for keeping all our lives in your hands. And he just immediately broke down and cried. And my son said, Mum, why do you always make people cry this way? And I said, they're happy tears. They're not bad tears. I'm not pinching them or anything. Anyway, he just absolutely broke down. And what happened was that his son had a day where, you know, you take your father to kindy and you sort of announce to the class, this is my dad and he's a bus driver. And his son refused to take his dad and asked if he could take his uncle instead. And his dad was just devastated. And it was because his son thought that he's just a bus driver. And what I had done just by acknowledging that he was holding, it was a lot of kids and adults in that bus. I mean, I think there was about 38 of us or something like that. It was a full big bus. And I said, I said, a surgeon has one person on their table, and that's harrowing enough. And I said, you've got, 30 odd people on your table, and you deliver them safe and sound every day. And he just was like, oh my God. So, what is it that you can share that will actually generate and create greater? And I'll leave you with another one. This was when I was 19, so another old story, but I love it so much. So I was walking across an intersection, and it was such a big intersection that the lights, you had to wait in the middle to get another set of lights to walk to the second part of the road. And so I was coming from one side and a gentleman was coming from the other, and, we met in the middle section. And it was a beautiful day in Melbourne, and, we don't get too many beautiful days in Melbourne, or if we do, we get them for like 6 minutes, and then it rains, and then the sun comes out, and it's, Anyway, that's another story. And so I said to him, isn't it a beautiful day? And he looked at me and he said, yeah, it is. And that was all. I went across, he went the other side, heading the other way. Now, at that particular time in my life, I was actually assisting in a medical clinic, helping with people with body issues. And so I was in my waiting room waiting for my next client, and I got buzzed by the receptionist, and she said, you've got to come out. There's a hysterical man out here. And so I come out and it's this guy that I said, isn't it a beautiful day to? So, of course I went straight to, is he okay medically? And he was, but when I say he wasn't having a heart attack or anything that we need to do straight away. What it was he was crossing that intersection to kill himself. And we were close to a train track and he had worked out the time of the next train and he was basically walking to end his life. And the reason he wanted to end his life is twofold. One is no one noticed him. And the second thing is that life wasn't beautiful anymore. And so me saying, hi, and isn't it a beautiful day, satisfied those two things. And because of that, he couldn't kill himself anymore. And he was just breaking down in gratitude because in that moment he didn't really want to kill himself. So before you go, oh my God, I'm never going to not stop smiling, I'm saying trust your awareness. You'll know when to say things or not say things. And part of that comes from being, the infinite being, rather than the finite thinker. And so in that moment, I was just in the flow of the universe and it just felt really light to say this to this guy. So imagine how many times a day you can actually be that generosity of spirit. It's not necessarily about giving money if you don't have money or giving your time if your time's, really stressed at the moment. There's so many ways you can give. So many ways. So this week, look at that. Look at ways you can receive more and look at ways you can gift more. All right, well, that's it for this week for Transformational Tarot, and I'll catch you next week. I wonder what card's going to show up next week. All right, and also let me know as you receive more and give more. Tell me some stories. I'll be really curious. Come find me on choosinggreater.com. All right, lots of love to you guys. Till next week. Bye-bye.